Have you ever been, or are you currently in a sales slump doing in-home sales like selling home improvements? Here are 4 things you should be aware of to avoid getting in a slump, or what to do if you're already in one. Please listen to the end to hear all 4 so you don't miss anything. Now, if you like these type of videos, please subscribe to help me, or for more free training, check out the link in the description below. The first thing that may be the issue is that you think you're in a slump when you really aren't because you're looking at your numbers the wrong way. You think I haven't sold anything in a week and start to panic. Looking at your numbers the way I'm going to show you gives you a different perspective. The most important number I track is the amount of net revenue I create for every lead that I'm issued. Now the key is the net revenue. It's called different names depending on where you work. It could be called DPA, dollar per appointment, or NSLI, net sales per lead issued, but it means the same thing. It's how much you return in revenue for every lead the company issues you. Since you get paid commission, this is the truest way to gauge your rate of pay. In this video, I'll refer to it as the DPA, or dollar per appointment. Here's how it normally works. Say if you get 100 leads and you sit 80%, you do 80 presentations. Now if you close 33% of those, you'll have 26 gross sales. If you lose 6 or 23% of that due to cancels and credit rejects, you'll end up with 20 net sales. So your net closing would be 20%. That's the 20 sales out of the 100 leads you got to start. Now, if your average contract price is $15,000, 20 net sales times $15,000 equals $300,000 in net sales. $300,000 in net sales divided by the 100 leads issued, that means your dollar per lead, or DPA, is $3,000. That means you generate $3,000 for every lead you get on average. At 10% commission, that means you average $300 commission for every lead issued to you. For example, if you're issued 100 leads, and no matter how many no-shows, no sales, cancellations, or credit rejects you have, if at the end you have $300,000 in net business, the DPA or NSLI would be $3,000. That's $300,000 divided by 100 leads. Now, why is that important? It means that for every lead your company gives you, whether they're home or not, and no matter what happens afterwards, that on average you return $3,000 worth of business for each lead. That means, again, if your average commission is 10%, that you make $300 every time you get a lead, even if they're not home. The issue is that in this business, it can seem like your income is fluctuating. You make $500 one week and $5,000 the next week. It messes with your mind. So by tracking the dollar revenue you generate per lead issued, it's more consistent. If my dollar per lead is $3,000 and my average commission is 10%, then I know that I average $300 a lead in commissions. That's the average of how much I make every time a lead is issued to me. Your dollar per lead average helps you compensate for the perceived highs and lows of, oh, I made a sale, oh, I didn't make a sale. It also covers the income swings that happen week by week, since by using this, I know the average of how much money I'm making for every lead that I'm issued, whether they're home or not, or if they bought or not. It's consistent and it keeps my attitude strong. For example, if my DPA was $3,000 and my commission was 10%, I knew that if I ran 3 leads that day and none of them were home, it was still okay because the way the numbers averaged out, I was still making $300 per lead, or I made $900 that day. It helps me to keep my attitude consistent because if I get a no-show Friday night, I'm not sad. I'm actually happy because I know based on my dollar per lead number that I just made $300 and I got to go home early. Tracking this number keeps you from the ups and downs of how much you make weekly and gives you a better handle of how much you're making. By doing it this way, you won't get as stressed and you won't accidentally manufacture the slump you may or may not be in. Remember, sales has ups and downs. You may not even be in a slump, and by you thinking you are the one causing the slump. This is also a great number to know because in its purest sense, it's your rate of income. A person who has a $4,000 DPA makes money at twice the rate of someone of a $2,000 DPA. One person generates $400,000 in business or makes $40,000 in commissions on 100 leads, and the other person generates $200,000 or makes $20,000 in commissions on the same 100 leads issued. The second thing that will help you if you really are in a slump is to go back to what you were doing when you were selling and compare it to what you're doing now. When you were selling, were you learning and reading, listening to podcasts, books, and other things that help you get better in sales? Were you in tune with your numbers and tracking what you were doing? Were you debriefing, getting help from people better than you? Most of the time when I ask someone that, they say, well, I guess I stopped doing that. Human beings are the only species that when they have something that works, that then they change it or stop doing it. One reason people stop doing things that were working is because people are motivated by two things, fear and desire. When you have clear-cut goals and plans you're working on, then your motivation is desire. If you don't have these, then by default, you're motivated by fear. In other words, when the bills start piling up and money gets low, you then kick it into gear. The problem with that is that once you make some money, the fear is gone and then you stop pushing. You go up and down and you'll have periods of being down or being in a slump, then you kick it into gear. The slump is just a natural process of you going down before the fear kicks in and you go back up. This is no fun, and hopefully you'll learn to set goals and use them instead of the pain to motivate you. It'll also make you more consistent. The third thing to do to get out of a slump is to go back to the basics. See, the problem with selling in the home is that you're all by yourself, and if you inadvertently leave something out or start to shortcut steps, you may not realize that you've done that. And as time goes on, you get further and further away from what you need to do. That's because you have nothing to compare what you're doing to. No exaggeration. I had a rep I watched once where I actually said, so how long have you not been showing them the product? I remember times that even after doing 10,000 presentations, and I knew the sales presentation backwards and forwards, if I started to slump, I'd go back to the basics and get my presentation outline out. Sometimes even put them on the table in front of the customer. Sorry, I'm a little new and I want to make sure I don't leave anything out. And go back to selling like a rookie. Make sure you're not forgetting anything. We do it all the time. Go back to the basics. The fourth thing to get out of a slump has to do with your attitude. Generally, when someone's not selling, it's either basics or attitude. The attitude could be that you're beaten down so much that you're not expecting to make a sale like you should be, but you're hoping to make a sale. Another danger of being in a slump is that you start trying too hard to make the sale. It's funny, but in this business, the harder you try, the harder it gets. When you try too hard, you come across as desperate, and that's not the best way to make a sale. So the next home you go to, put yourself in the frame of mind that you don't care whether you make a sale. Go there with the attitude that you get paid the same whether they buy or not. All you're there for is to figure out what problem they're trying to solve and to see if you can help them. And most important, go there with the attitude that you're going to have fun in the process. Another attitude piece that helps me is that I remember what it felt like when I had my last selling streak, and then I manufactured that feeling by feeling that way now. I make believe that I just sold my last 5 in a row and how I would be feeling. So much of your attitude is controllable, and you can manage it up or down depending on what your belief system is. Remember, it doesn't even have to be based on fact. For example, if you were down, I could pump you up by saying, hey, remember that lotto ticket we bought together? We just won $1 million. Now, assuming you didn't quit, what do you think your chances would be of making a sale on your next lead? I bet it'd be high because you'd be so pumped and you really wouldn't care if you made a sale. Now, after you came back, of course, I tell you that I just made it up. Well, actually, something like that I'd tell you on the phone so you couldn't hit me. The point is that your attitude isn't necessarily based on truth and therefore can be easily changed. Now, for more information like this, check out the video on ways to make sure your attitude hasn't gotten bad and you didn't know, or the playlist on closing listed above. Happy selling!